The D3 library comes with a whole host of functions that make the loading of external resources easy. One thing to note is that with the working files for this particular video, you'll need some kind of web server to run them successfully. And this is because the loading of external resources within a web browser is limited to running it just within a web server. This is so that local files can't run malicious code from external sites. Now, I'm running on my Mac, MAMP, that is also available for Windows. That's basically an Apache MySQL PHP server. You can also use web hosting, whatever you may have, and run this online. If you don't have web hosting, the working files won't work. And covering how to set up these servers is out of the scope for this particular video and this course. Okay, let's take a look at the web page that we have. And this is our scatter plot that is interactive. And what we'll do right now is we'll look at replacing the JavaScript file with a CSV file. Let's go to the code, and then let's get rid of line 11, which calls the JavaScript file that has our data source. And instead, we're going to use this CSV file, and the CSV file has at the top the name of the fields, and then below all of the records that are comma separated according to these fields. We'll head to the index.html file, scroll to the bottom. Just before plot.call, we'll type d3.csv, open and close parentheses, and the first argument is the path to the CSV file. So survey_data.csv. It's in the same folder as my index.html file. The second argument is a function to fire. And the first argument of that is the error code, just in case there is an error. And the second is the name of the data as it comes back. So we'll call it parsed data. Now we'll take this call to plot, cut it, and paste it within this particular function. Now, instead of calling data, because that doesn't exist anymore, we'll call parsed data. So I'll replace that. Save it, head to the web page and refresh, and we get an error. Data is undefined. It's undefined because we got rid of that JavaScript file, so anything that refers to it needs to be changed, and that's two of our scales. At line 31, we have within our X scale the definition of the domain. So we're going to cut that out, and then head to the plot function, and at the very top, X, and then paste the item that we cut out, and let's fix the indenting. And we've got one more item, and that's the response scale. So again, we'll cut the domain out, and then right after x.domain and plot, response scale, and paste. And let's fix the indentation. Data here needs to be changed to params.data, because that's how it's coming into this function. Save it, refresh, and there it is. And let me show you actually what it looks like when it calls the data. So we'll do a console log above the plot call, console.log, parsed data. And then we'll take a look at it in the console. And here you can see that it has taken the CSV file and made an array of objects and has used the keys just as we had before. Now, one thing that's a small detail is that all of the values are strings, and that's not necessarily the case. We could, if we want, go through the array and just type everything to be a number. It's a detail that is unnecessary at this point. But know that that might happen when you fetch external data. The last thing that I'll point out, if we console log right after this and type first, and then let's change the console log that's within the function to second, save it. You'll refresh the page and you'll see that's the order, first, second. Now let's transpose them. So I'll take first, paste it in the CSV, and second outside. And you see that it's second first, meaning it got to the end of the code and then it did the function. So that's critical. The CSV function is asynchronous, so you can't rely on just the order of the code being the order in which things will fire, but more importantly, be available. So that's one gotcha when you're using the CSV or any XHR portion of the D3 library or HTML in general.